just as the UK government's getting ready to trigger Brexit negotiations with Europe, with an announcement that could come as soon as tomorrow if all goes well for the Prime Minister in Parliament. Well, the Scottish First Minister upping the ante, anticipating a hard Brexit. Nationalist leader Nicola Sturgeon calling for a redo of the 2014 independence referendum, when 55% of Scots voted to remain in the UK. The Scottish National Party leader wants the vote late next year or in early 2019.
The language of partnership has gone completely. And there should, I think, be little doubt about this. If Scotland can be ignored on an issue as important as our membership of the EU and the single market, then it is clear that our voice and our interests can be ignored at any time and on any issue. That cannot be a secure basis on which to build a better Scotland.
For more, we're joined by our own Armin Georgian. Armin, our correspondent Bénédicte Paviot said this announcement caught many by surprise. Why now?
Well, because there are two processes going on in Scotland's Parliament and the British Parliament. As you know, the British Parliament is just laying the groundwork so that the government can trigger Article 50. The Scottish Parliament now needs to give Nicola Sturgeon approval to hold a new referendum, and she probably wanted to mesh those two processes in order to look in control of the political agenda. But there's another factor, I think, as well, which may have played into all this, which is the opinion polls in Scotland about independence, and that shows an interesting evolution. So if you look support for Scottish independence, we've got the no in red and the yes in blue. You can see that after the Brexit vote, the no actually dominated for quite a while. But as of January of this year, the yes for Scottish independence started to climb and actually overtook the no for the first time in a long time this March, so this month. So the polls have narrowed. Of course, it's still very fluctuating, but you can see that they're a little bit more encouraging now for Nicola Sturgeon than they were.
All right, we have a lot of uncertainty over the Brexit negotiations. Now we have this gamble. Can I call it a gamble on the part of Nicola Sturgeon?
It's absolutely a gamble because there are actually quite a few factors playing in Theresa May's favour here. Firstly, the European Commission has said clearly Scotland would have to apply as an independent state to join the European Union. In other words, join the queue alongside Serbia, Montenegro and Bosnia. The European Commission has also poured cold water on the idea that Scotland, even if it didn't declare independence, could somehow stay in the single market while the rest of the UK leaves the single market. So that no longer seems to be an option either. And perhaps one of the biggest headaches of all for Nicola Sturgeon, Scotland would have to come forward with plans to close a huge budget deficit. Scotland's budget deficit is actually bigger than Greece's, if you were to count it as an independent country. Does that mean imposing massive austerity on Scots at a time when Scotland is outside the EU, outside the single market, and outside the UK? These are all, huge questions for her. Now, obviously, she will set those risks against the risks of staying against the economic risks of staying in the UK post Brexit. But it's clearly going to be not an easy referendum to win.
All right, many thanks for that, Armin Georgian.